Good day, everyone. So let's start by saying that we initially started in 2018 with the cash rebate. This was a huge step for Romania. Unfortunately, due to its operational challenges, it was discontinued after 2.5 years. But since 2024, it has been optimized, and it's had a complete makeover, even from a legislative standpoint. And to date, we have over 52 projects that have applied for the rebate, representing more than 22 million euros in rebates. As of April 2026, the Film Commission has approved 13 of these projects who have submitted their applications, which 4 have successfully received their funding up to this date. The main feature, obviously, is the 30% cash rebate on eligible costs for production incurred locally in Romania. Projects have a 10 million euro cap to support large-scale international productions. Obviously, a 1,000 RON fee is payable, and to submit the application, this being not an eligible cost. Moving forward to the cultural test, we have a minimum threshold of 18 points that is required for the qualification and eligibility of the project. This would mean that 9 points are awarded for a EU language, official EU language, and 7 points would be for more than 50% of the shoot to happen in Romania. For others, like additional points for key crew members, like costume designers, directors, producers, that incur obviously points, each 1 point to make the 18, which is a minimum. You can easily do 18. In Romania, that's not a problem. Okay, let's see. Sorry, go back a bit. For project types that are accepted and are eligible, we have feature films, series and episodes, documentary films, and animation. Each of these ones have, these are the non-eligible projects. Okay, this is the minimum spend, which is very important. We have 100,000 euros for feature films with a minimum length of 60 minutes. TV series, 100,000 euros per episode for a minimum of 30 minutes and for a maximum of 24 episodes per season. Documentaries are 50,000, but if one documentary is part of a series, then we would move up to the 100,000 euro threshold. Animation is 15,000 euros of a minimum spend. Points, we discussed the 18 points. Obviously, moving on forward to the eligible expenses, which are payments for goods and services related to the implementation of the project. Local individuals, you would have to have taxable income in Romania. Obviously, all payments made to companies in Romania are eligible expenses. If we're talking about foreign crew and talent, these could become eligible if they are subject to 16% withhold taxing in Romania and would be deductible in their country of origin to avoid double taxation. No loan outs are approved, they cannot be considered eligible. Okay, so to the next one, non-eligible expenses. Costs obviously incurred before registration would not qualify. Financing and bank expenses, payments to non-local companies, fines, penalties, and litigation, VAT and audit service costs. These are not eligible for the project. Rebate caps and stages. This is basically what's new since 2024 and the makeover of our cash rebate scheme. The scheme operates within an annual budget allocation, but in a continuous session. with funds being allocated after production is concluded, which is very much different from what was happening before, when projects would have been registered and they would block the amount of money owed as a rebate. And you would have, I don't know, 20 shows, and you will have 5 that were actually being made, but the cap was blocked. And so that was something that was entirely redesigned on this one. And obviously the project cap as well, which is 10 million per project. The annual allocation budget, because I know this is probably going to be a question at the end, is 55 million euros. That is what the government is allocating for the cash rebate scheme. Moving forward to the financing application, which is, the registration application, which is the first step. It involves submitting all the registration application, including necessary documents such as intellectual property rights, production services contracts, budget details, script, and other relevant materials. After this step, the next step is the financing application, along with necessary supporting materials, including the final shooting script, final budget, the Romanian and the total budget of the production, and daily production reports, which are to be submitted within 60 days after the completion of the shoot. The financing agreement is signed once the application is approved. Last step, the payment request. It involves submitting the payment request within 9 months of signing the financing agreement. This request should include, obviously, all relevant supporting documents for eligible expenses such as contracts, invoices, and everything else that comes with it. And after that, our Institute for Film and Cultural Events will issue a payment decision. Statistically speaking, out of the 4 projects that have been already paid, the span from, let's say, the first registration application, the first step, and then until the last, upon receiving the payment, is around 12 to 14 months maximum. So that would be the span of getting, the production would get their money back. Okay, the key timing and payment. Obviously, costs are eligible from the date of the registration application. The certificate gets issued, and then obviously the go-ahead is on and you can start. Always be careful, because you must start prep within 60 days of having the certificate, no later than that. And the shoots should start in Romania within 9 months of the certificate being issued. That's mandatory, and if any of these steps, if they're not, let's say, respected, the Cultural Film Investment Center can rescind the application and the subsequent payment. The financing application should be submitted within 60 days of the end of the shoot. The signature of financing agreement, it's issued the invitation for signature. It's when the production company CEO, the Romanian one, obviously signs it. And the payment request must be submitted mandatory within 9 months from signature of the financing agreement. So basically, by that time, you need to have the audit done, you need to have all the necessary documentation, submitted, and wait for the government to analyze it and go through it. Payment is made within 120 days of the final payment request decision, which, statistically speaking, they have done it so far, so we're not very worried about that. Moving on to required documents, which are important. We have the production services agreement, authorized translation, obviously, for it. The copyright ownership agreement documentation, producer's formal commitment letter, a crew list to basically check that you've managed to apply and have all the points for the cultural test. The Romanian budget and the total budget based on their template. There's a special template that the Institute has. Script, every script needs to be authorized, translated, and submitted as well. Resumes for producer, director, writer, usually all the key positions that can incur points and then can gain points for the cultural test. production calendar as well, submitted along with all these documents. The practical checklist inquires and involves what happens after you've submitted, after you've finished the project. A copy of the finished project must be submitted within 5 years of the shoot start. And there's a mandatory line at the end that should state that the film was made with the support of the Romanian government in credits and all promotional materials. The checklist, obviously, is more like a producer's tool, let's say, where you should verify the project type, budget allocation for everything, arrange all the Romanian translations. This is something that obviously happens before the submitting the registration request. The allocated budget for all above the line, including Romanian withholding tax, which is 16% in Romania. Schedule prep and shoot to ensure deadline compliance, and obviously coordinate with the local auditor, which must be engaged from the beginning of the project, and legal counsel. I guess this is it for the Romanian cash rebate presentation. If there are any questions, I'm here to try to answer as best as I can.